The question I'm most commonly asked about climate change is should I be optimistic or pessimistic? I talk about this question a lot. My career has been at the intersection of climate science, technology, policy, and industry, mostly working for you. At one point, working for a US president, and now as chief scientist and chief carbon grantor at Carbon Direct. At that intersection, I think about that question in terms of energy flow and carbon abatement option. So, I ponder a variant of that question: how much energy so 10 billion people use? I was first prompted to think about this question by the late, great Richard Semeli, nanotechnologist, Nobel Prize winning chemist, co-discovered buckyballs. So tell me, he gave an important and influential talk almost exactly 20 years ago, in which he laid out the top 10 challenges to humanity, like energy, water, food, poverty, the environment, and health. And then he said something kind of obvious. All of these are energy challenges. Water is most straightforward. Three-quarters of the Earth's surface is covered with water. It's too salty to drink or use. The primary cause of desalination is energy. Food. I like food. 18% of the food consumed around the world moves through modern agriculture. That means scientific fertilizer combining the harvest, refrigeration, shipping, their energy climate. That's my day job. How do we go from 54 billion tons of greenhouse gas every year to less than zero very quickly? And so, abundant clean energy can make progress against the wall is. So, research estimates what it will take for 10 billion humans to live more or less like the United States. And his answer was 60 terawatts. Keep that number in your mind. It's here for reference. Today the world uses about 26 terawatts of energy. About 8 terawatts of total electricity. Now the urgency of climate means that we have to for all of the energy used today. And our future energy really has to be abundant, sustainable, and cheap. Abundant, available where you want it. When you want it, everybody should have energy, including the 3 billion people who use less electricity than my refrigerator use. However, it should be sustainable. We can emit a lot of greenhouse gas. We can trust nature. Ideally, it's cheap, a lot cheaper than today, maybe half or a third of what the US pays. That will be $20 a megawatt hour or dollar a gigajoule. And remember, it's energy, not electricity. We also need heat for heavy industry. We need clean fuels, things like clean hydrogen or sustainable aviation fuels. Well, that seems hard. And it's but if you know that's what you need or what you want, abundant, sustainable, cheap energy. We have new question to ponder. How do we get 60 terawatt of that to 10 billion people? Well, the good news is every day Earth receives 163,000 terawatt of energy from the sun. About half of that bounces back to space, but about 18,000 terawatts 18 arrive at the Earth in form we can use. For example, the air, land, and ocean converts some of that into about 80, 70, 100 terawatt of wind. There's a bigger number than 60, and we got more than solar and wind. We have geothermal, we have hydro, we have nuclear. There's other kinds of clean energy, and some of the best resources are. In fact, in the global south, these places are not simply future climate victims. These places are latent energy superpower, and we made some good start. Let's look at China. Based with abundant hydro, solar, and wind, they can make green electron on demand. A lot of those green electrons are going to get turned into hydrogen and ammonia. The key ingredient for fertilizer itself a good fuel and a great way to move clean energy around the world. Now, Jill has prioritized using this green electron and hydrogen to decarbonize in its own grid and for domestic energy use. For things like mining, sorry, they are also building infrastructure, they're building out the grid and ports for trade and commerce. This prioritization, this emphasis of infrastructure is the difference between a neo-colonial economy and new economy built on abundance. Let's go to Kenya, home of the second most productive wind farm on Earth, Lake Turkana, home of the second largest geothermal program on Earth and future home of the Great Carbon Valley, where this abundant, sustainable, cheap energy will create whole new industries and pull CO2 on out of the sky. Now this are good start, but we and you all have far to go. Hashtag we need more. Specifically, we need new investment phase and we need development mechanism that recognizes the opportunity of abundance as opposite to being built on the scar cities of the past. Hey, my favorite example, Namibia, a young, rapidly growing nation full of promise. One of the very driest places on earth, Namibia has excellent solar and wind resources. In particular, in the southwest, unsurprisingly, a giant $10 billion project is building along that will land 3,000 megawatt of solar on the ground, 3,000 megawatt of wind that will feed 3,000 megawatts of electrolyzer that will make clean hydrogen and ammonia for export to Europe. And European countries and European industry are providing the long-term of dates. In addition, the port of Loders is getting an upgrade and there's going to be jobs and wealth creation in Namibia. I love this project. What's not to like? Namibia gets wealth and jobs. Europe gets clean, secure energy supply. Still something off. That's it. This, this project is 10 times bigger than Namibia's world grid. In this project will not substantially build out the infrastructure or energy access. No refrigerator, no new cars as a nation. No, again, this is a great project, but how can we do even better not just here, but everywhere? How do we harness abundant, sustainable, cheap energy for all? Well, there's three ingredients to that well base. And if you plan to harvest abundance, you act differently in each. First, out of the gate infrastructure, we need transmission lines, road, ports, railroads, filling station. We're not moving bits. We're moving molecule and electron. We need this infrastructure to get electricity to the people of Namibia and to get clean fuels out of ports like Mombasa or Cartagena. This project takes time, money, and people. We need to develop the human capital as part of this investment project for decades. Because remember, children for the rest of our life. Every week is infrastructure week. Second of the gate, innovation. We need much more energy in many places, much cheaper. That's an innovation agenda. Now, you all are familiar with the proven and rapid decrease in cost associated with solar photovoltaics. That was a combination of sustained investment in innovation, plus market alignment policies, plus manufacturing for solar. That was the United States, Germany, China, and other acting together. Well, if that's the recipe, we can do that again. We're already doing it with electric vehicle and clean hydrogen production. We can certainly do it by turning electricity into fuels and pulling CO2 out of the sky. In fact, the CO2 and clean hydrogen will be the next generation of sustainable maritime and aviation fuels. We can go way further with solar, with perovskites with multi-action technologies like super molecule. We can double or even triple the output. We just had fusion in California. Now the hardness that abundance and objective solve be cost reduction. Maybe 50 or even 80% cost reduction. And this objective shall be part of the goals of the institution that run innovation. For example, the US Department of Energy RESAT program. That investment specifically, we need to move away from single project finance to more systemic investment mechanism on one that reimagine risk across multiple projects, multiple investment cycles, and multiple years. Some of the goals of the audacious and offer to Brighton initiative. In addition, the full value chain should be part of the investment thesis. Revenues come from many sources, including the infrastructure itself, the equipment itself, the new product and the improvement for health and welfare. Global positive investment, global positive growth that yields solid return. Now, in the case of Chile, Japan is a key partner and Japanese firms will make money on turbines, electrolyzer, ships, infrastructure, and dam. Now, one green hydrogen project is not enough money to do that. You need, to rebuild shipyard and supply chains. You need more than one project. So, the Japanese government, in fact, backed dozens of projects, and these are entered by bilateral agreement between Chile and Japan that include long-term offtakes, multiple project and long-term offtakes. Change the value proposition for both countries. You are not feeding a sad shareholder, you're feeding to nation. And Chile has maintained its commitment to this now through three successive government. So, let's go back to Namibia. Here's the creed today. Hmm. Instead of conventional project finance for one project, what will a $100 billion set of project look like? Well, for starters, you sure have to build out the grid a lot. You have to add solar and wind, maybe supersede some project, maybe add some hydropower instead of temporary construction job in Luderitz. You have a permanent construction industry there, and you be building electrolyzer all over Namibia. That's will undersupply cane across sub-Saharan Africa, and you train a generation of workers that will be big enough for desalination, bringing fresh water to the desert and the communities and the new industries. Big index for hospital, universities, regional logistic hubs. Big enough to ensure a good governance and best of all, low-cost clean fertilizer that could be used to make food in Namibia, sold there, and to its neighbor. In effect, Namibia could be a global anchor for food and fuel, and the investor will get a solid return. Now, that's a future to be optimistic about because, let's be honest, whether I'm optimistic or not, the work is the same. So, let's reimagine that first question. It doesn't matter whether I'm optimistic or you're optimistic. It matters if we are optimistic. Collective action, building together is what makes the difficult possible and nourishes the soul through a mission and purpose. And we have a lot to be optimistic about infrastructure, innovation, and investment. Our commitment to the future answer in optimism. We also have the tools and the tech we need. And we know what to do and we can act not out of anger or fear, but out of generosity and common purpose, bringing aspiration and humility together. We're going to build a thriving, vibrant, exciting world full of generosity, and full of potential that's going to be good. Thank you very much. My name is Athaya, number 57.